on the Analog Circle podcast. Microsoft has finally closed the deal on ABK. Oh my goodness, we gotta talk about that. A huge retailer will stop selling physical games as early as 2024, allegedly. PlayStation has announced the PlayStation 5 Slim. I got some thoughts on that one. And Peter Molyneux discusses his new game that is in development. All of these stories can be found here and quite a few more in episode 182 of the Analog Circle podcast. Oh my goodness, brothers and sisters, it is so wonderful to be back discussing the gaming news with you guys. But I have to do one thing before we get completely started into this episode. I have to shout out Mr. Lawrence Jones. Mr. Lawrence Jones has been absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. This brother has held down the Analog Circle group since I've been gone for 2+ years. And I want to say, brother, thank you very, very, very much for always keeping the group up to date with the latest gaming news and just being such a positive person. Me and you have spoken personally at one point in time, and I just again want to say thank you so much, brother. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. This brother was taking care of the group while I was an absentee landlord. But I will say, guys, man, I'm real rusty, so pardon me. This episode is probably going to be kind of rough because it's been 2 years and 2 months since I've actually been behind the microphone. And yeah. It's going to be a little rough, but hang in there with me. As time goes on, I knock off the podcast rust, as it were. But yeah, man. So with that being said, I'm not going to talk about too much what I've been playing because it hasn't been too much, as of late. I mean, right now I am playing Arkham. What's it called? Not Arkham Knights, but Gotham Knights. And I will say, just to say this one thing about that game, I do not think that game is nearly as bad as people and reviewers made it out to be. To me, that is a solid game. The game is very, it's very good. If you ask me, I'm teetering on an 8.5 to a 9 right now. So when I saw some of these reviewers out there talking about the game was a 4 out of 10, a 3 out of 10, I'm like, I don't know what game y'all are playing. I'm teetering on saying that this game is actually better than Arkham Knight.
Boo this man!
Oh, man. I dog. All right, y'all jokers booed me off the stage, huh? I know some of y'all mad. But that is my thought, man. I really feel like this game is much better than people give it credit for. So, I mean, being able to just ride around Gotham freely, it's almost like an open world. We've never seen that before. Being able to switch between 4 different characters at any given time for any mission, man, that game is fantastic. And I know that it is free, I believe this month. And, I don't know if it's Game Pass. I think it might be Game Pass. I'm not sure. I bought it, so I'm not sure. But I would recommend that you guys check that game out. It's been absolutely fantastic. But with that being said, though, guys, I don't want to waste too much more of you guys' time. I always want to try to keep it tight here. Don't want to have you guys here for too long. So with that being said, let's get into what we all come here for, and that is the gaming news that went down. Let's get started. So I got this first news story from Games Radar. So let's start with a bit of a smaller story. Now there is a new studio that was formed back in 2021 called, quote, That's No Moon. End of quote. That is the name of the team. That's No Moon. Very interesting. And this team is made up of Jacob Minkoff, who is a game director who comes from Infinity Ward. You got Taylor Kurosaki, who was a narrative director for Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare. Now, they're joined by Nick. Now, I'm going to butcher this guy's name. You know, some things don't ever change with people. I'm always going to butcher some people's names on this show. But I think his name is Nellis. Man, what kind of sound was that? Oh, Nellis. I have no idea. But he was a Naughty Dog veteran who worked on The Last of Us and lead level designer Rob Davis, who worked on God of War 2018. Now, it's been announced directly from the studio that they are working on, quote, an ambitious AAA single-player third-person action adventure, end of quote. Now, the studio has also announced the game is, quote, based on a major IP. Very, very interesting. So with all of this talent, it's positive to say that the game will be good, but we have seen this happen time and time again. You get a lot of talented people together to work on a project, and it doesn't necessarily come out that great. I mean, I'm looking at Perfect Dark. That was supposed to be a quadruple A studio, and they couldn't even really get out of the gate. So we'll definitely see what happens with this. It being based on a major IP, I'm not sure. It was some rumors that were going on that were saying that it could be based off of Star Wars. I'm not too sure about that. I mean, I think right now Star Wars fans are pretty healthily fed right now. So it'll be interesting nonetheless to see what they come up with. But yeah, just be on the lookout for That's No Moon Studios. We shall see. Moving on into the next story. Now, in quick CD Projekt news, Project Red news, that is, game director Gabe, oh man, another name, Amatangelo. His name is spelled Amatangelo, Amatangelo, I guess. He talked about Cyberpunk 2077 and said, quote, 2.0 and Phantom Liberty are the last big updates we'll do. No, he said they're the last big updates. We'll do a little something more, but those are the last big ones. End of quote. Now, he ended the conversation by saying, quote, then it's Cyberpunk 2 or Orion, I should say. Whatever we end up naming it, end of quote. By the way, I got the story from PC Gamer, but on a side note, these guys over at CD Projekt Red are about to be extremely busy. Now, they're talking about a brand new Witcher trilogy, a remake of the first Witcher, and a new IP named Hadar, Hadar, which is in the conceptual phase. Oh man, we know how this goes. Conceptual phase. Man, this thing ain't coming out to 2032. But on top of all of that, they're moving away from their quote unquote red engine, end of quote, and moving over to developing on Unreal Engine 5. Oh, we know that engine right there is very beastly. So I gotta say congratulations on that. Yeah. That Unreal Engine 5 in the hands of them, CD Projekt Red, could be something very, 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 very amazing. I'm telling you. But outside of that, they also said that by way of update, they will be coming out. Let me see, where did I say? Oh, yeah, talking about the Cyberpunk sequel. And also, according to Chief Creative Director, his name is Adam Badowski. He said, quote, this project is on a conceptual... Yeah, once again, talking about the sequel to Cyberpunk, he's saying that the project is on a conceptual design level right now, and it's going to be designed by a team of veterans who are responsible for fine-tuning Cyberpunk 2077 and designing Phantom Liberty. Now, I gotta say, talking about CD Projekt Red just for a minute, I gotta say, man, this has to be one of the greatest comebacks in gaming history. I mean, you have a game that comes out, it's broken, has a lot of bugs. People are highly upset with the studio, blaming them for what happened, even though we know it's the publisher. It's not the developer. The publisher tells the developer, look, you got to go. You got to release this. I don't care if it's broken. Who cares? You got to release it. Go, 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 go. So they do that. The game comes out to very bad reviews. I thought it was still solid. I played it on the Xbox One. I didn't have a problem with it, but other people did. So they come out to not so much of a solid launch. They stay at it, and eventually they come out with 2.0, and the game is very, very, very good. On top of that, coming out with the DLC, the Liberty City DLC. I mean, man, it's Phantom Liberty, pardon me. It's absolutely amazing that those guys did not give up on the vision. They kept trucking along, and they made a game that wasn't so well received into a game that people are actually talking about, running back to, and really enjoying. I mean, you got to think about it. At that point in time, when the game did release, PlayStation actually took it off the store. It was so bad. So, they had so many things stacked up against them, but they really persevered, man. They got through it, and they're moving forward. So I think that's just excellent. It does show that you can have a game that comes out in a bad state, which I'm not a fan of. I think these guys need to make sure that they're cooking the product in the oven long enough so that when it does release, it is not even much better, that it's not broken. It's in the state that it should be in. But since this was the case, this was the reality for this game, them going back to the drawing board and working at it, I got to commend them. So salute to you guys, CD Projekt Red, for one of the greatest comebacks in gaming history, I might add. That's my opinion. And hopefully the next time out, the publisher will let you guys cook as long as you need to make sure that you're coming out with a great product. Anyway, let's move on into the next story. Now, this story is coming from Gaming Bolt. So let's take a turn down Rumor Boulevard, where people are always talking. So this is according to Nintendo insider Nate the Hate, who this guy actually has. To be fair, he actually has a pretty good track record. So this is what he says. He says he shed a little bit of light on Final Fantasy VII Remake. He said, whether or not it'll be making its way onto the Switch and Xbox. And he says, quote, Final Fantasy VII Remake is not a current plan. Could it happen? Eventually? Sure. It is an active plan at this moment. No, a Switch 2 release exists in the same way an Xbox release does. If Square wants to do it, they can and will, but no such plans exist at the present. So what he's actually pretty much saying is, yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake could be coming to the Switch 2, just like it could be coming to the Xbox platform. But right now, there are no plans for Square Enix to release that game on either platform. And I think that at this point in the game, we all know that Sony, they have wrapped up the rights to the Final Fantasy VII Remake and the new Final Fantasy that'll be coming out, I believe, in February. I don't think we're going to see anything on those games going to another platform for quite some time, if ever. Because right now it seems like Sony has a bit of a chokehold on what's going on over there at Square Enix, but only time will tell. We'll definitely see. Keep our ear to the street, and we'll see what happens with this in the later months or years, determining whether or not this game actually does make it to the Switch 2 or the Xbox platform. Let's move on into some more quick Nintendo news. Now, insider Tom Henderson, which he actually also has a really good track record as well, he tweeted this out, quote, really excited for the Nintendo Switch 2 and its tech. We'll see launching on Xbox Series XS, PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC a heck of a lot in 12 to 18 months. So now I found this very, very interesting because people have been talking about the Switch like it is going to be on the same level of a Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5. I highly doubt that that's going to be the case because Nintendo has not done that in many, many years. So I don't know why they would go against their, maybe not their better judgment, but go against the grain and try to compete on that level. I just don't see that happening. I don't think that the Switch 2 is going to be on that level. If anything, I think it'll be more so comparable to, and I think this is even pushing the envelope, but a Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, but definitely, absolutely not a PlayStation 5, especially if they're trying to keep that same portability on this console as they have with the Switch, because it's been so successful for these guys thus far. I don't think it would make sense to switch the format up that much, because right now you have your core fan base. You have guys that enjoy the Switch for what it is. I mean, if you can beef it up a little bit, I'm never against that. I would love for that to be the case. But if they're trying to go in the same direction of portability, I don't know if you could even remotely make something with the specs of a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X or even an S for that matter, have the price point at such a great price point where people would buy in. I mean, well, maybe the S, I don't know. The S has really been messing it up a little bit for Xbox lately. I mean, a lot of developers have been coming out. Remedy, the guys come out and said that the game is not nearly as good as it could be because the S is holding them back. We've heard from 2 other developers that have said the same thing. So, I mean, maybe the Switch 2 could be on the level of a Series S. I mean, I guess it'll be determined. But next year, we should definitely be finding out some more about that news as it pertains to the Switch 2. So we will see. Moving on into the next story. Now I got this story from Forbes. So this has to be the biggest news of the week, if not for the whole month of October. So on Friday, Phil Spencer and team were finally able to close on the ABK deal. Golly, dropping some bombs on the whole industry with this one. So they were able to close this deal coming in at $69 billion outside of the, hold on. I'm jumping the gun a little bit. Let's just take that in for a minute. $69 billion, they closed the deal. And I was away for the whole time that this deal was taking place. But I remember I was in Connecticut at a TA in January when they announced that this was happening. And that has been almost 2 years ago that they had announced it. So finally, the deal that many people didn't think was going to happen has finally happened, and they have closed it. I mean, I'm hard on Xbox. I'm hard on them jokers because they have not done things that I've been a fan of. But this one, I gotta give them their flowers. I gotta give them their flowers for this one, man. Good grief. Man, Phil Spencer came out there. He had a plan. This joker has wiped off 2 huge publishers. He's wiped them from not the industry, but from being third party. He's taken them away. I mean, wow. I got to shout out to my brother Z, and the Broadband Bullies. Z would always say this one thing. He would say, be the behemoth that you are. And golly, man, these jokers came through like a 800-pound silverback. And they have taken two major publishers off of the board. They got Call of Duty and Doom and Wolfenstein all under the same umbrella. Oh my goodness. They got Spyro. They got Crash. Matter of fact, I'm talking about these different IPs that they have. Let me run down the list because, of course, we know about Call of Duty. We know about Crash, Spyro, Tony Hawk, Diablo, and Guitar Hero. But some of the other franchises, because of this deal that Xbox now owns, include Gun. Do y'all remember Gun? From years and years ago. I think that was back on the PlayStation 2. They now own Gun, Gabriel Knights, which was also a game I believe that was on PC back in the day, almost like a horror game. Man, could you imagine if they brought back Gabriel Knights and made it kind of like Alan Wake, some kind of like horror game? Oh man, they got Geometry Wars, Interstate 76, King's Quest, another PC game, King's Quest, Phantasmagoria, that was on the PC back in the day. They got that. They got Pitfall. Come on, man, Pitfall Harry from the Atari 26. Come on, man, jumping on the back of alligators' necks. Man, they got Pitfall out this joker. They got Prototype. They got Police Quest. Man, Police Quest. God, dog. I remember I played this. The last Police Quest I played was on PC. It was Police Quest 4. And that game was dope. I think it took place in LA or something like that. It had to do with with some gang activity at the height of gang banging. It was absolutely it was very impressive for the time. I mean, they were talking and everything. Yeah, I was a PC gamer at one point in time. They had the graphics, brother. They had the graphics. They were talking and whatnot. They had blood. Yeah, it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Can't get me on PC today though. Nah, it ain't gonna work. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. But they also own Singularity. That was another slept on game from years ago. I think that had to do with I think that was in the 360 era when Singularity was released. That was a dope game. They got Quest for Glory. I feel like I played that back on PC years ago. I think I could be wrong, but they own SWAT as well. Man, that was another big game on. Man, God dog, a lot of these games were on PC. God darn. Yeah, you got SWAT, you got True Crime that they own. They got Zork. That was another PC game, very popular PC game back in the 90s. Space Quest and Soldier of Fortune, and that's just to name a few, because altogether, the Activision catalog boasts a total of 37 IPs. 37! Now, I have to say this. Now, one quick thing worth noting is, and the reason why I didn't mention it is DJ Hero, man, which is, oh my goodness, absolutely love DJ Hero. I have the Renegade Edition. I'm looking at it on my shelf as we speak right now. But DJ Hero, it used to be owned by Activision, but back in 2017, Ubisoft acquired Freestyle Games, which was the studio behind, quote, DJ Hero. So ultimately, Ubisoft owns the rights to the franchise, but it is a silver lining because since Microsoft and Ubisoft are now partners via the cloud situation, I wouldn't doubt that a call could be made to bring it back. So it is a big possibility that they could bring back DJ Hero. I know it's been some rumors out there that they're bringing back Guitar Hero, which was dope. That was cool, but I was into the DJ Hero franchise. That was my joint. Now, this is the thing though. Now I don't want to get too pumped up. I don't want to get any of you guys that may be DJ Hero fans too excited, because Unfortunately, and this is abysmal, the game only sold 122,300 copies. So who's to say if they'll bring it back? Oh man, that is terrible. 122,000 copies. Yeah, so we'll have to see if that would be a possibility, if they would want to bring it back. But, just to shift focus a little bit on Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer has come out to extend and quote olive branch by saying, quote, "For the millions of fans who love Activision, Blizzard, and King Games, we want you to know that today," let me flip this over, "that today is a good day to play. You are the heart and soul of these franchises, and we are honored to have you as part of our community. Whether you play on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, PC, or mobile, you are welcome here and will remain welcome, even if Xbox isn't where you play your favorite franchise, because when everyone plays, we all win. We believe our news today will unlock a world of possibilities for more ways to play. Thank you for the ongoing support. We have so much more to come in the months ahead. I'm excited for the future and cannot wait to share it with you." End of quote. By the way, I got that quote from Xbox Wire. So Phil Spencer is out here. Oh man, y'all know, hey brothers and sisters, man, y'all know me and Phil. I've had a lot of questions about this guy, man, but I gotta say, him offering that olive branch, whether you play on Xbox or not, it's okay. We're opening up many different ways for you to play and all of that stuff. I understand what Phil is saying. He has to say that. I get it. Phil Spencer, I'm sure he knows that this deal has ruffled quite a few feathers in the industry for gamers. Some gamers that prefer to play on PlayStation or the Nintendo Switch. Hey, Phil is saying you're welcome. Come on over here. We'd be happy to have you as a guest in our home. We would love to entertain you, wine and dine you with Game Pass, tons of games, Call of Duty. All of that stuff. So, I get it. Phil Spencer, again, shout out to him and the team. I know he didn't do it alone. The lawyers were probably working triple overtime to get this done. But the mere fact that they were, again, able to get it done it's amazing. Me personally, I thought that they were fine where they were. I didn't think they really needed to get not another publisher. God, dog. I thought that was a little too much, but they ended up being able to pull it off. Interestingly enough, so Phil Spencer, again, out here inviting everybody to come to the Xbox ecosystem, whether you play on PC or wherever you're at. Come on to the Xbox side. Very interesting. But moving on into the next story. Now, this next story is pretty alarming if you're a physical game collector like myself. But I will say that it is a rumor for now. So take that with a mustard seed of truth, this whole story. But Limited Run Games CEO Josh Fairhurst said this on Twitter, and I quote, "I've heard rumblings that Walmart is dropping physical Xbox games soon, and I have to imagine further cuts to physical gaming sections will be made as we get deeper into next year." End of quote. Now, if that wasn't alarming enough, Wario64 also took to Twitter and said, quote, "The Digital Bits reporting that Best Buy will stop selling physical media, including 4K, Blu-ray, DVD, possibly as soon as end of Q1 2024, both in-store and online." End of quote. Oh man, the digital future is looking more and more real every day, and the physical aspect of gaming looks like it is getting nudged out every single month. It seems like that's the case. And I tell you, thinking about it, man, me being a person that collects a lot of physical gaming media, I'm not saying that all of my games are physical. They're not. I mean, I have quite a big digital library. I mean, I do have, I think, like maybe 40 something games that are digital, but I also have quite a few that are physical. And as a person that grew up in that era where you get the physical disc, I mean, trust me, it is not the same as it used to be, because back in the day, you would pick up a cartridge, whether it was on the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, even TurboGrafx. I mean, they gave you a manual. You got a map in the packaging at times. You would get all of these other postcards, sign up to Nintendo Power. I mean, they would give you quite a few items when you would buy a physical copy. But now you get a physical copy. It doesn't even have a booklet, not even a booklet. I'm like, golly, you're spending not double the price, but $70 on these games, and they're not giving you anything outside of the disc. So I can see that, for myself, I kind of feel a little cheated at times when that does happen. It's almost like, golly, may as well get the digital because it's nothing here but the disc. But I like the physical media. I like the fact that I have it, that if the game does get discontinued, I think a couple of weeks ago, Lawrence Jones, he had actually put a story in the Analog Circle Facebook group that the Avengers was being discontinued. So if you wanted to pick it up, you had to get it before it was gone. I actually have the game physically, so I'm good. But just the fact that these games can disappear digitally at any given time, that also, I ain't gonna say it scares me. I mean, some people, they be out here doing the most, talking about, oh man, it's the end of the world. Man, it's gaming at the end of the day. So it's not gonna affect my life to that degree. But I will say, as a person that loves the gaming culture and loves to be able to access older games whenever I want to, it is a bit alarming to know that at any given time, this digital game could be erased and you could never see it again. So I don't know. It's just, it's very interesting. But the other thing that I want to add to this is I did do a little research on this. And according to a report done by the ERA, which stands for Entertainment Retail Association, 89.5% of video game purchases were digital. That is huge. And 10.5% were physical. Now, an interesting fact that they pointed out was 30% of those sales came from mobile, which is nothing but digital purchases only. So now you're looking at roughly, you take that 30% out, you're looking at roughly about 60%. But one fact remains, physical is definitely feeling the squeeze. So it's not as bad as the numbers make it out to be, because mobile is huge. But even still, 60% is still over half of people buying digital and not physical. So I know this has been a not a big debate, but people have been talking about it maybe for like the last 2 weeks or so. What's going to happen. I'm thinking about it, man, and it is a possibility that, and I hope it doesn't happen. I really hope not. But I think we have to start wondering, is this going to be the last, man, the last generation where we're going to see physical? It's very interesting. Anyway, I don't want to harp on this one too much more, because I want to make sure that I get you guys out of here in a timely fashion. So let's move on to the next story. So let's jump into some PlayStation news. So Sony has announced that the PlayStation 5 Slim will be available. I believe it's going to be available next month. Now, the system size has been reduced by 30%. Oh man, 30%. And will become the new standard once the older models sell out. Now, they will both include, a 1 terabyte of storage, instead of 825 gigabytes that are found in the older models. As far as price point, the physical model will sell for $499, while the digital model will sell for $49.99.
Boo this man!
Sony. Yet again, Sony has raised their price for a second time by $50. Now, if you do decide to get the digital version, but you may start to have doubts down the road about not having access to physical games, you can opt to buy the Ultra HD Blu-ray disc drive attachment for $79.99, bringing your grand total for a digital console up to $529.98 here in the States, not including tax. How do the last time Sony did this, what was it, on the PlayStation 5, I think it was like $550. When I picked up the PlayStation 5, I'll be honest, I got it for like $550 something, but it did at least come with God of War Ragnarok. I did get that in the box. So that did kind of help, with that extra $50, because that was a game I was going to get anyway. So I could understand that. But $450, this thing was just $400 when it released. And now you're tacking on an extra $50. It would make no sense for a person to get this digital console if you think down the line you're going to want to go physical. Because $80 for the Blu-ray, for the disc drive attachment, brother, $80. I thought, look, Sony might have went 60. Okay, $65, somewhere around there. Man, these jokers said, you want that joint, you got to pay us an extra $80 to get that. I just can't understand. This is why competition, brothers and sisters, is great. Because here it is, you got these guys, man. Sony, man, sometimes, don't get me wrong, their games are unbelievable. They are stellar, to say the least. But sometimes, man, Sony tries to get out the gate. So here it is. I remember this was during E3. Of course, I wasn't recording anything like that, but I've always followed what's going on with the gaming news. And, it's just regular stuff for me. It's the thing I love, man. So I was looking at the E3 show, and I remember when Phil Spencer talked about the Xbox Series S, and they were upping the price by $50 for, I believe, a 1 terabyte. I said, this is crazy. Phil, you are out of your mind. You're only going to be $50 cheaper than a PlayStation 5, which is far more powerful than what you are offering. This is suicide. Now I have to say, man, with them coming out with $450, now it's $100 gap. $100. And I understand, don't get me wrong. Listen, I understand. Again, I just said it. The PlayStation 5 is way more powerful than the Series S. I get it, but it's obvious. One thing is obvious though. People will go what's it called? The casual. The casual will go for the cheaper price point because we saw those leaked documents and the Series S is outselling the X by a huge margin. Absolutely huge. So people are going to be price conscious. And then again, look, over the last couple of years, Microsoft, Xbox, they have not done themselves any favors. This year was a good year, though. I'll give it to them. This was a solid year for seeing how they're going to turn this Titanic around, how they're going to turn the ship around. This was a good year. They had one flop, but they had three really good games, being Hi-Fi Rush, Starfield, and the new Forza, which I know it took a little step back. That Joker did slide a little bit. Yeah, it did slide. But still, it came out to be a good game. So the only game that they really have an X on their, no pun intended, but they got an X on their jacket for is Redfall. And even to give them a little bit of credit, they did at least give it the 60 frames per second that they promised they would. So, I mean, you can see some growth there. You can see some possibilities of things happening now that they got ABK. Oh my gosh, I don't know. You figure you get a Series S out there and you put Call of Duty on the box and it's in Game Pass. Oh man. Oh my goodness. It's in the service. I can get it for $350. And this is what I play anyway. And I ain't got to pay an additional $70 for the Call of Duty. It's included in the service as well as the older Call of Duties. Oh my goodness. This is, man, that's one angle that Microsoft will be able to play. Of course, they can't do it this year because they're still under contractual agreement with Sony that they'll make sure that they have the rights for this Call of Duty, which does look dope. I got to say, I haven't played Call of Duty in years, but this Call of Duty 3 Modern Warfare, man, this thing looks real, real good, I must add. But if they can do that, man, I don't know how this fares. And I get that Sony is the leader. They're the market leader. But lately, what's his name? Jim Ryan. And they got that brother up out of there, didn't they? Them jokers got that joker. Man, they said, hey, Jim, you got to go, brother. You messing up the product, man. Hey, Jim, but anyway, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens with this. But this is terrible. I just can't agree. I think the Sony's out there, they know that they're the market leader, and they're just raising the price because, and I know we in a recession. Well, not technically a recession, but man, interest rates, man, stuff is high as a kite. But you're only as good as your competition. And right now, Sony is running the table with with regards to Microsoft, not Nintendo necessarily, but excuse me, but with Microsoft, they're running the table so they can set their price. But this is why we need Microsoft to compete, because it is no way. I have never seen this in the history of gaming. The consoles, 3 years in, you're raising the price? Oh my goodness. I mean, really, literally, today's price is not tomorrow's price. These jokers took that literally. $450. I don't know, man. Y'all chime in and let me know your thoughts on this. Of course, like I say, call in at 443-380-0281. Leave a voicemail. We'll be sure to play it on the next episode. Let's move on to the next story. Oh, before we do move on, though, I mean, I was just talking about Sony having fantastic games. I mean, the gaming experiences are next to none. Well, what do y'all think that Spider-Man 2, what do you think the Metacritic on that is going to be? Because tomorrow, that embargo is up. I believe it's 7 a.m. Might be West Coast time. I don't think it's East Coast time. I could be wrong, but 7 a.m. West Coast time, which would be 10 o'clock here on the East Coast. What do you guys think that game is going to get? I got to say, man, I'm picking that up. I got to have it. I played Miles Morales. Like I said, I just got my PlayStation 5 earlier this year. I just got it like in February sometime. So, I mean, my backlog is crazy as it is already. But I did get a chance to play Miles Morales. Oh, my goodness. That game. Oh, that game was so nice. Oh, it was dope. Graphics, story, gameplay, abilities. Man, that thing was chef's kiss. It was absolutely fantastic. So going off of their track record, Insomniac that is, who is holding the whole Sony ship up on their two shoulders. They are holding it up on their shoulders right now. Man, listen. Insomniac, oh my goodness, their trajectory is crazy. They have released, which I haven't, I bought it, haven't played it yet though, but Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and now that they're releasing Spider-Man 2, that's 3 games in like 5 years. Oh my goodness, this is unprecedented. 3 games at that quality level in 5 years. And these guys are the MVPs, man. It's no other team. Man, golly. Man, Insomniac. Golly. I got to give y'all a round of applause. I'm dead serious. These guys are holding them up on their shoulders. And they are coming out with fantastic games. So for me, looking at the trajectory, I got to say that these guys are probably going to fall between an 88 to a 90. On Metacritic. That's what I think they're going to get. I mean, because this game looks amazing, but we will see. Anyway, let's move on to the next story, and we are starting to get to near the end of the show. But this is quick Xbox news. There will be some changes happening very soon here in the quote. See, I read that all wrong. See, I wrote it wrong. Let me get it back on track. I got this from comic books. So let's start it over again. And 2, 1. In quick Xbox news, there will be some changes happening very soon. Here is the quote. So this is what they're saying. Due to a new policy starting on October 1st, 2023, existing and new captures on the Xbox network will automatically be deleted after 90 days. The first deletions will start in January 2024. End of quote. So if you are a person that has some captures that you really, really love, it was a special moment for you, you got a dope achievement, and you want to make sure that you hold on to that, make sure that you back it up, because if you don't, January 2024, they will be deleting your captures. What am I talking about? Yeah, let's move on to the next story. So this next story is a very interesting one that I found over on Games Radar Plus. Now, Peter Molyneux, this guy's infamous, but Peter Molyneux has come out to talk about his new game. He said, quote, "This may be a decision I live to regret, but I am starting a regular blog about the crazy way I design games." Oh, crazy indeed. He says, namely a new game set in the land of Albion. Oh, people went crazy when they heard that. But it's gonna take place in a land of Albion called Moat. That's gonna be the name of the game, Moat. Along the way, I'll be looking back at the development of Fable, Black and White, etc. End of quote. So the interesting thing, of course, and you guys already know, that everyone took from this was he named Albion, which is, of course, a reference to Fable, which is a game that, I mean, to be fair, Peter worked on at Lionhead Studios. I believe they closed Lionhead Studios down. What was that, back in, don't quote me, but 2016, I believe. I know it was very early on into Phil's career as the CEO of Xbox, that is, his leadership role. But people were wondering, so, does this mean he'll be working on a new Fable game? And, oh man, Peter Molyneux, he's coming back. Oh, this guy, he was the original creator. Slow down, just take a breath. Take a breath, because it doesn't necessarily mean that he'll be working on Fable, because the word Albion, to be fair, is also another name for Great Britain. Yeah, so slow down. I mean, maybe, just maybe, this game may be taking place somewhere in Great Britain. I mean, the name of the game is called Moat. And we know that a moat is the thing they usually put around castles and things of that nature. So it may take place maybe in a time frame of Fable, but I think we should kind of pump the brakes because it might not be Fable related. Microsoft, just to put more on this, that it could just be Great Britain. Microsoft, they don't own the word itself, Albion. So anybody is able to use it, with no copyright infringement or anything like that. So we may just want to hold off, hear what Peter Molyneux was going to say about this game, talk about when he talks about the, what the game is going to be, the premise. I mean, Peter Molyneux, though, man, that joke, man, he is the poster child for putting extra sauce on the hot dog. This guy putting all kind of stuff on the hamburger. I mean, this joker talking about trees is going to start out as baby trees, and then you're going to come back, later on in the game, it's going to be a full blossom tree. I said, man, this guy is selling a pipe dream. So we know what Peter Molyneux does. I mean, you gotta kind of halfway take him at face value. So nonetheless, though, he's been out of the gaming industry for quite some time. So, I mean, you got guys that really like Peter Molyneux that'll be checking for the game. I would be lying if I said I'm not at least a little interested in hearing, at least bare minimum, what the concept of the game is going to be. So I guess we'll stay tuned. He's going to be doing some vlogs and stuff like that to, keep us up to date with what's going on with the development. And we'll stay tuned to this one. It should be very, very interesting. Now, in other quick news, the PlayStation 5 version of Red Dead Redemption now runs at 60 frames per second. You know what? Man, that is the least. That doggone, what's the name? Rockstar could have done. These jokers act like a 60 frames per second mode is good enough, man. Man, you have just totally just lost the mark. This game was $50. $50. And they did nothing to the game. Graphically, it doesn't look better. When we were hearing these rumors about Red Dead Redemption, allegedly a quote remake, man, I was through the roof. I was so excited to play through that game again. And here it is, when we saw it come out, it was the exact same game as before. Oh my gosh. But this is what we have. Rockstar has not done anything since 2018. It's been 5 years, going on 6 years since their last game has come out. The last GTA came out in 2013, 10 years ago. It's still rumors out there saying that Grand Theft 6 isn't going to release until 2025. It was rumors that said that they started back in 2018. They started development over again, and they've been working since then to try to get the game together. But, Rockstar. And I understand it's not necessarily Rockstar, I'm sure. I'm sure it's the parent company, Take-Two, that's telling them just relax. Grand Theft Auto 5 Online is doing fantastic for us. We're not in a rush because the money keeps on coming in. But, man, it's just been a long time. I mean, it's been so long that not only did Rockstar say that Grand Theft Auto 6 will be coming out, they made that official announcement, but they also announced that they're going to be working on Red Dead Redemption 3. I mean, it's been just that long where they're like, look, man, not only is it Grand Theft, Red Dead is also in the oven as well. So, all I'm saying is, man, I just hope that they're able to release something very, very soon in the next 2 years. At least give us a screenshot or something like that. I remember maybe last year sometime some video had leaked, and usually I'm upset about that. You know, I'm like, oh man, I ain't had to do that. But I can't sit up here and tell a lie. I kind of was like, man, that's what y'all get. That is exactly what y'all get, Rockstar. Y'all haven't done anything for years on top of years. It got leaked. Oh, well, I felt no pity. I said it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not cool that it did happen. It's not. But I guess the frustration, I don't know why I'm frustrated, though. God dog, I don't know. I just would like another Grand Theft Auto, another game just in particular from Rockstar to release. It's been so long, you know, so I don't know, but it did get to 60 frames per second. Xbox fans that have the backwards compatibility with the game is still at 30. Man, I'm gonna tell you, for $50, it's still not worth it just for a frames mode. And that's one thing I gotta give PC. Of course, I will never go to PC. Well, they say never, but in my mind, at least as it stands right now, I don't have any plans to ever go to PC, but I will say, man, their modding community is absolutely sensational. These guys will go in there and change the game and make it the game that they want it to be. I remember I was just reading a story as I was writing up these notes that they just did a new game plus for Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC. And that was something that a lot of gamers wanted Rockstar to do, was make a new game plus mode. And, you know, since they took too long, they didn't make it. Here it is on PC. They figured out a way to make a mod so you can actually do new game plus. Golly, PC is something else, a whole nother animal. But we're going to move into the final story of this first episode back after 2+ years. So I got this story from Gaming Bible. So lately, we've heard nothing, you know, speaking of nothing with Rockstar, we also have not heard anything much about Gears 6 outside of, you know, it'll be using Unreal Engine 5. But according to the creator of Gears, who is, of course, Cliff Bleszinski, he took to Twitter to say this, and I quote, "Heard a rumor today from my friend who wrote Gears 5 about the future of the franchise, and let's just say," end of quote. Now, that was where he actually, you know, stopped typing in the tweet, but he did post a GIF of DiCaprio's character from Django Unchained, which said, quote, "You had my curiosity. Now you have my attention," end of quote. So who knows, you know, what that means, but I do know rumors have been suggesting that the new or the next Gears game could have a open world. It could be open world. I mean, we saw that kind of with Gears 5 with the whatchamacallit, I don't know what you call it, the thing that's almost like something you would have at the end of a boat where you're on the water and whatnot. I forget the name of the thing, but you would be riding on the back of that, going to different locations. Even though that was far from open world, who knows if they expound on that a little bit more, make it more vast, make it much bigger. Who knows what they'll do? But just hearing this from Cliff Bleszinski that, you know, talking about this rumor that he heard from a guy, well, not just a guy, but his friend who actually wrote Gears 5. So this just isn't just some random person. He actually wrote the script for the last game, you know, and just saying that, you know, this new direction that they could be possibly going in, you know, talking about it, it really has his attention is very, very interesting. But anyway, man, that is the end of the gaming news this week. Golly, if y'all are still here, thank you. I really appreciate it, because this has been a rough episode. I'm sure I've been fumbling and bumbling all over my words the whole episode. But before we get into the final leg of the podcast, This week, of course, video game theater, man. Yeah, it's always here, man. I love doing these. And this week, man, we have God of War 2018. Yeah, we're going to take a flashback to this scene that I know all of you guys are going to remember. It was iconic. One of the best scenes that I've seen in gaming. Fantastic. So we will be right back after this week's video game theater. Stay tuned.
And here I thought your kind was supposed to be so enlightened, so much better than us, so much smarter. And yet you hide out here in the woods like a coward.
You do not want this fight.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I do.
Leave my home.
You are going to have to kill me for that to happen.
I warned you.
Finally.
You would not listen.
Fine. My turn. How incredibly disappointing. Come on, then.
Man, them brothers was scrapping one day. Oh my goodness. Man, when I saw that scene for the first time, I just knew, oh man, is this spoiled? Well, that's 5 years. That's why I wait. That's why I always wait before I play these. I want to make sure that enough time has possibly gone by. Hopefully you guys have played, so I ain't going to get too deep into it just in case somebody hasn't out there. But man, when that scene came up, oh my goodness, brothers. Oh my gosh. I said right then and there, this is going to be game of the year. It has to be. And that was a year when it was stiff competition. You had God of War 2018, Spider-Man 2018, and Red Dead Redemption 2 were all out in the same year. So just the fact that it was able to win, I always liked God of War more than Red Dead Redemption 2 in the sense that Red Dead Redemption 2, it could be a chore sometimes to play the game where it would be fun, but it wouldn't be fun. It's kind of hard to explain. Whereas God of War, you go in there, man, you feel like a superhero. It was just absolutely incredible. So that scene right there, man, oh my goodness, golly. Doggone Sony Santa Monica, man. Encore. Encore. Oh my goodness. So yeah, guys, so we are in the final section of the podcast. And of course, just like from podcasts before, I have a question for you guys. I know you guys saw it earlier when you clicked on the episode, and thank you for that. But the question for this week is, will Activision make Xbox more desirable? Now, I'm only asking that because I remember when they picked up Bethesda, everybody went crazy. I remember I was talking to Mike J. Shout out to Mike J. What's going on, my brother? He had gave me a call when I was on my way. I was going somewhere. I forgot where I was going, but he told me, he left me a text message and told me that was happening. Man, I lost my mind. I said, it's over. Xbox has the crown. There's no way that Sony is going to be able to do anything with Microsoft now that they have Bethesda. And over the last couple of years, I got to be honest, man, it has been very quiet on the Bethesda front. We haven't seen Doom. We haven't seen another Wolfenstein. Of course, it's not going to be a Fallout. We know that's years away. No Elder Scroll. I know that's years away. I mean, we're just finally getting something. Excuse me, guys. Finally getting something from those guys over at Bethesda, with Starfield. So it didn't have as big of an impact as I was expecting for it to. Right now, I believe the PlayStation 5 is still in front, 2-1, might be closer to 3-1 as we stand right now. Don't quote me on the 3-1, but I know 2-1 for sure. But it didn't move the barometer like I thought. So now that they have Activision, they got Call of Duty. I mean, they got it. Of course, they got to make sure that they get through their contractual agreement with Sony this year. But, and of course, it's going to be on PlayStation over the next 10 years. So they're not going to lose Call of Duty. Not at all. Still going to be there. Day and date, same thing. No difference there. But, knowing that they have these other franchises that we went through earlier in the episode, just Crash and Spyro, Tony Hawk, Guitar Hero, are those franchises what I really would hope? And of course they don't own it, but High Moon Studios, I believe that's their name, Transformers, if they could bring a Transformers over, oh, that would be crazy. That would be amazing if they could bring back that Transformers franchise from years and years ago. Put that out there, put that in the forefront. Maybe that could make some traction because Transformers are still hot. They're still hot out here in these streets, man. So maybe they could do something like that, but I just don't know if Call of Duty is going to be enough because that's the main draw. I know it's not the money play. The money play, of course, is mobile. It's king. I get that, as far as Candy Crush and all those other games, that's the money play. But I'm just saying to attract people to the platform, is Activision going to be enough? Having Call of Duty, is that going to be enough? And we know that right now Microsoft has some stuff cooking, which is one thing I can say shockingly, which is it doesn't blow my mind. I'd be being extra if I said that, but I am a bit shocked that we have a better roadmap for what Microsoft is doing versus what Sony is doing. We know Sony, they would always give you like a roadmap 5 years out, 3 years out, where they're telling you these games are coming. So they kind of sold you on the idea of what's coming up later on down the road. But lately, we have not seen that from Sony. We have no idea what Sony has cooking outside of course, Final Fantasy 7. I think, is it Rebirth? I can't quite remember, but the new Final Fantasy 7 coming out in February. They have the other multiplayer game that's coming out as well. And something else. I mean, people that say all of a sudden that Sony, they fell off a cliff. I don't agree with that at all. I think people are being real extra with that, saying that Sony hasn't given us anything. Sony is lacking, they slacking. I'm like, man, did you see the launch of the PlayStation 5? Have you seen what they've brought out over the years? It hasn't really been a drought up until now. And even this year, it wasn't really a drought. I mean, they had Final Fantasy 16. They got Spider-Man 2 coming out in a couple of days. I mean, it didn't hit like that. Granted, I understand, but they did have the game come out from Square Enix earlier this year, which I cannot remember the name of. It had the sister as the main character. I'm forgetting the name of it, but they did have games come out. So when people say that they haven't had anything, I just think that's a bit disingenuous. But just getting back to the point, we don't know a full roadmap of what first party is working on. We know that Naughty Dog, they're being held up with the factions. That's kind of put on ice right now. We don't know what Sucker Punch is working on. We don't know what other game Naughty Dog is working on. We know that they have something in the works, but we don't know what it is. We don't know what's the other studio? Not Sucker Punch, but Sony Santa Monica. We don't know what they're working on. So it's just an interesting time looking at the two, where you see Microsoft, they got Hellblade 2 that's going to be releasing sometime next year. They got Fable that's supposed to be releasing sometime next year. They got the other game with the main character that is a sister. She's in the bayou somewhere. I forget the name of the game. I even forget the name of the developer that's working on the game, but it's a first party developer. I think they made the game that looked like BioShock. They did make the game that looks like BioShock. Can't remember. Compulsion Games. Their game is coming out next year. So we got a roadmap of what they're doing, but is it enough? With all of that being said, just getting back to the point, the question for you guys, will Activision make Xbox more desirable? I can't wait to get you guys feedback. As always, you can reach out to the show 2 different ways. You can either call in at 443-380-0281, or you can email the show, and the email address is the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Woo! Oh, man. Taking a deep breath right there. Man, we finally got through the first episode back, man. I'm going to tell you, I was real nervous, man, to get back on the microphone. It's been quite some time. Just taking a sigh of relief. But, yeah, we will be back, though, next week. Now, if you guys do call in, chime in, we'll probably have a show coming up on Wednesday or Thursday. My schedule's a little crazy, but I promise you, we are back, though. We are back, and we're up and running. And thank you guys for your patience and all of that good stuff. But I feel like I'm getting very long-winded. So with that being said, until the next episode, what would I say, man? Hey, yeah, man, we're going to keep it the same. Always remember, it is not about the consoles. It's about the games at the end of the day. So with that being said, until the next episode, when we do it again, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.